This is Scotty Guatney. I'm Ashley Terrell. We're from Burnsville Advisors here for coffee chat today.
It's
How
been
are
a,
you?
I'm good. It's a pleasure. It's finally, it's nice to talk to someone besides Chris. So it's nice
Yeah,
to have you.
yeah, same. I'm with Chris too. Actually, Chris and I had a whole meeting together today, and I had lipstick on my tooth, and he didn't tell me.
Well, that's things like that should be against the law. So
I
I agree.
agree. All right, so can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with taxes?
Taxes, I can give you a little bit. And
Okay.
honestly, yes. This is one of the things for all of you out there who haven't attended one of our workshops before. This is one of the things that we talk about in our workshops about one, some of the proposed changes. And as we all know, we're not still quite sure as of today what's going to be proposed, but we know kind of what the maxes are. So we're going to start there and kind of when we put plans together with the unknown is really just thinking about that as we move forward. I have a cheat sheet here today because of all the changes, but
Yeah.
income tax, the top income tax rate going from 37 to 39.6. Some people say, well, that's not a big deal because I'm not in the top tax bracket. But what we don't know is what are the smaller brackets going to be? Are we going back to 2017 or is it going to be a little bit higher? Also, what are the ranges? So just because you may not be in the top tax bracket now, you might be once they maybe extend it out or maybe drop that bottom number down a little bit. This could affect some of our clients. Not only from the income tax, the dividend tax and the capital gains tax is probably one of our biggest things we sit on with our clients and talk about because if it goes from the capital gains tax a maximum of 23.8, and that
Hmm.
includes the 3.8 kind of Obamacare tax, so the max is 20 plus a 3.8. If that goes to 43.4, which is what they're talking about, you've got a big deal here. If you've held onto your Apple, your Microsoft, your Fortnite, or your Roku, whatever you may have had since its beginning, and now it's grown, and you have, some of our clients have significant capital gains. When we're
Correct.
talking a few $100,000 in some
Hmm.
cases, if we know that this is going to be passed for the next year, then between now and the end of this year, we need to sit down with them and say, okay, do we want to take these capital gains this year
Hmm.
at the 23.8%, or do you want to wait and chance for maybe another 4 years that they ever go back down? Because starting next year, it may go up to 43.4. And these numbers are really just on what Joe and his party ran on. There's going to be negotiations in between. So as we get more clarity, it makes us be able to make better, financial plans for our clients.
Right. So this would be a really good time to sit down with an advisor and kind of figure out how you want to plan next year and if you want to go ahead and take on some of those gains now or wait and chance it, right?
Yes, and honestly, we've known about this long enough. Clients should have been. Some of our clients haven't. Your advisor should have actually reached out to you at some point and wanted to sit down to go through and update a plan and say, okay, if this is where we're at. If they haven't, by all means, please give us a call. We want to kind of sit down with you and really give you at least a second opinion and see where we can possibly add benefits. Not only from what we talked about, but the estate tax exemption, the dividend tax increase I mentioned, the step up in basis. We're pretty sure that won't go through, but nothing's final until Washington signs off on everything. So those are just kind of some of the things that we kind of want to go through from a personal level. And then the biggest thing that it's hard for us to really mitigate against is the corporate tax rate
Mm-hmm.
increase. 21% right now. It's proposed to go to 28 as of about last week. It was at 26.5 is where they were going to try to settle it. What people don't realize is that that affects everyone across the board, not just the rich, all the way down to the poor, because
It,
a
it
lot
affects the price of everything.
everything at the stores. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, from milk to gas to just toilet paper, any just your basic items. Because one of the things you're going to get with these big companies is they're not going to sit there and say, "Oh, actually, well, we have to pay more in taxes. How are we going to do that?"
The
Well,
consumer
exactly. It's
will pay
easier to
that.
do it that
Mm-hmm.
way. So does it push some companies to go back overseas when they moved money back over here when the Trump tax cuts came in? We don't know if that's going to be the case, but prices across the board, if that is raised, will probably go up for everyone.
Right. And that's a really good point. This is something that everybody should be concerned with, not just those in the higher tax brackets. There's a lot going on that is going to affect everyone. So
Yes.
I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yep.
So what about inflation? So
The,
inflation is the price of things rising,
right.
which also that's going to affect everyone. Tell us a little bit about that and what you expect.
Right now, honestly, inflation's really at an all-time high, and of course, it's bounced around over the past few weeks. It's gone down a little bit as of this recording, actually. But what we're going to see is we don't see in the near term that going back down too much, mainly because of supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as of yesterday, CNN was out there doing a tour of all the boats outside San Diego, I believe. Just 50 or 80 of boats just waiting in line to come in and get the containers unloaded. There's a big problem there. Supply and demand right now is really kind of what's made this more of an artificial inflation. Some of the experts, and I believe, not to kind of point them out directly, but they project that by the end of next year, we could probably be somewhere back to normal. But in that meantime, we have to get people back to work. We got to get supply out there because it eventually, that will automatically raise this inflation rate. So for the intermediate term, it's just something that I think we're going to have to deal with, especially like the volatility is going to fluctuate like that. From an investment standpoint, if you're truly worried about inflation over the long term, we have investments like treasury inflation protection tips that are out there, different strategies from that standpoint that we can kind of provide in a portfolio. Commodities are a good hedge. Really just kind of being invested in the market and just staying active, even as volatile as it's been. That's something that we can sit down and talk to clients about and see if it plays a part in a piece of their portfolio.
Absolutely. So trying to figure out what types of bonds are tax exempt is definitely helpful, and you should sit down with an advisor to figure out which bonds those are.
Yes, ultimately, sit down with an advisor, and you should be sitting down with your advisor. Your advisor should be calling you to talk to you about this. And like I said before, if not, by all means, give us a call. There's no obligation. We'd love to sit down with you, kind of review everything, go through strategies, try to figure out where you're going, and really kind of help you put that financial plan together and kind of show you where we can kind of add value.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Scotty. Your thoughts and opinions have been helpful. I definitely learned a lot and hope you guys did too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. One with her and then one without her.
Oh my gosh, just so many mouth kisses. Oh, I definitely already started recording because I wanted to see her.